di ang ating mga mundo
So, ito talaga yung background music natin, ano?
Gusto niyo yan?
Yes.
Gusto niyo?
Gusto ko yun. Gusto ko yun.
Kinikilabutan ako. Oh my God.
Ay, nakabet!
Hi, everyone!
Hey!
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat. So, for those of you who are here with us, thank you so much. I know that Quarantines is premiering right now, and that is the finale. But if you are here, well, if you are here, then thank you so much. So, tonight, we are joined by Nico, Lance, ayun, and Mark over here, and I'm Mikey, and we are going to be talking about Gaya sa Pelikula tonight. I know that there's a lot of series that showed tonight, pero we just want to talk about Gaya sa Pelikula because it is something that we've been talking about ever since, and you know, we're just keeping with the program, and I think we have a lot to say about tonight's episode. Hi, Joy.
Hey, Joy!
Hi, good evening. Ayan. So, siguro a little bit of background for me, just to put it a little bit into my headspace, diba? Earlier, I was reading the tweets from Jerome. Huh? Juan Miguel Severo. Who's Jerome?
Wrong series.
Wrong person. Sorry. Juan Miguel Severo. Don't kill me. Don't cancel me. I'm sorry.
Okay
Ayun.
naman. Kasi the director actually supports Guys sa Pelikula. I just saw his tweet saying this episode was epic.
Correct, right? And JP Habak. And they sort of like were giving us an idea that we would hate them at the end of this episode. Like they were saying, sana patuloy niyo pa rin kaming suportahan even though after this episode, sana hindi kayo mawala. And I was thinking, what the hell? Why are they saying that? So, I had a lot of anxiety before this. I know, I had a lot of anxiety before this episode came out. And I was waiting for something bad to happen. And then, it just kept getting better and better. You know.
And better and better and better.
Yeah.
I know. What about you guys? Ano ba? How was it? How was it for you? Like coming into this episode. Hi, Ange.
Our best meme for that night would be Ange. Hi, Ange.
Ange, kumusta naman ang puso natin dyan? Ayos pa ba tayo dyan?
Oh my God, I can't hear you guys. Wait.
Okay. Yes, Joy. Oo, kailangan huminga. No, medyo ano muna tayo. Kalma-kalma muna tayo dyan.
Yes.
By the way, Joy, kung may masasabi ka, lagay mo sa comments. Oh, pag-alis ng amo. Oops. So, quiet muna tayo dyan. Yes, Ange. Kaya na? Kaya ba?
Kaya today.
Kaya today?
Hindi tayo po today.
Dami na sabi ni Ange. Grabe, guys.
While waiting for Ange, I just understand lang muna yung sinasabi ni Ian sa Twitter niya na sinasabi niya na I've always wanted the Ben and Ben song to be part of this. Kasi with the flow of the sounds coming in, and then suddenly I hear a familiar melody coming into the series. Para sabi ko, shit, that violin is so familiar. It's right home by Ben and Ben.
Ben.
Right.
That is such a perfect
song. I have siguro
I
parang
know.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Baka nadidiling na naman ako. Okay. So, siguro I suggest na before we talk about Guys sa Pelikula, parang I just have a question to everyone. Parang before we try to understand how we actually evaluate or how we try to, ano ba tawag doon, review mga episodes natin. But I'd like to ask you, ano bang purpose niyo of watching BLs anyway? Para ano yung personal purpose niyo? Why are you watching BLs?
Ako, to be honest, it's purely for entertainment. I mean, at first, yeah, because I think I've already shared this with you guys. So yeah, I started it together, which is a show na purely fan service. So,
Right.
and yeah, I just appreciate that parang as I explore this BL world, ang dami kong natututunan. Kaya sobrang, oh
Mm.
my God, and then ito pa yung last ko na napanood. I'm so emotional.
Yes.
Iyak na rin talaga si Ange.
Yeah.
How about the rest? Ano yung purpose of watching BL? I know we guys started out sa BL talaga doon tayo nagsimula eh. But ano ba talaga yung pinaka-personal purpose nyo?
Okay, guys.
For BL per se or for movies in general, for series in general? Kasi I'm drawn halo-halo. Let's say I'm drawn mostly to the stories of how they tell stories through film, through movies, and how they write or reinterpret stories.
Right.
That's what I'm drawn to that's why I'm drawn to them. Parang I'm curious how will they turn out. Like let's say for example, My Extraordinary, I got hooked to it because I was curious how the flow will be, especially with the whole teaser nila with episode 5.
Right.
Those are the parts that, as a story writer, I'm curious how will they make it go around? How will they tell that story? With Guys sa Pelikula, I'm curious kasi how, parang I want to know how will they play the symbolisms, the music, the flow. How will they write it all together? How will they weave the stories together as if it's seamless? With Game Boys naman, I was attracted to the Game Boys because I was looking for that unique aspect na how will they tell a story in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So those are the things. Those are the things I gravitate towards. I'm usually into the fantasy genre because I like the feeling of escape. I like to be thrown out in another world. I like to be thrown out and given inspiration of another way of telling a story.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Right.
That's Lance, no? Okay.
Yes.
And si Mark.
Well, just like what Lance said, no, siguro what Lance said are my parameters of what I look for in a BLC, or not necessarily a BL, for any show that I consume that I watch.
Consumer tayo.
Oh, you are consumers anyway.
Yeah, we're consumers anyway. Parang yeah, I'm drawn into the story. I'm drawn into the quality of the craftsmanship of working. How good the story is written, how good the lighting is laid out, how good the cinematography is produced. Pero the purpose, at least ako personally, my purpose of being in watching BL series is to find my story in the mainstream. I mean, there are a lot of mainstream boys love, or like gay, like homoerotic in some aspect stories out there. But I honestly, personally, I haven't really found my story or related that much into a story that I've seen that focus mainly on the homosexual kind of relationship. Because it can always easily go south when you tell a story of a minority. We all know that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a story, a production series in this sense that would, like, I would feel that they are careful with what I will feel, and I also feel that they are careful with what the other people feel that would watch their series, and at the same time not undercompensate, and not take it that always take into consideration how good the shots are, the soft, the quality of the film or the series. Yeah, but I just want to find a story that is, how can I say it? I want to find a story that is responsible. I always say this. I always say that this. I want a responsible story in a storytelling itself. So yeah, that's my purpose. I just want the LGBTQIA narrative to be out there, and I always keep an eye on where it is in the mainstream. I mean, I don't want it to go like to the far left, to the far right, or to the far north or south whatsoever. I want it in the middle, and I see to it that it is in the middle. Hindi naman sa nangingialam ako, like I'm micromanaging. I have no, ano naman, I have no, I don't have any influence naman to do that. Pero I just want lang na, I just want to know where our story is, because it is our story. Kasi no matter how, no matter how we look at it, we may agree or may not agree on the narratives that we're told as LGBTQIA people. Pero kasi it is somehow reflective of you. I mean, your generation. I mean, lalo na ngayon in the power of social media, you can easily press productions on how you feel good or bad about their storytelling. So it is also your responsibility on how other people will tell your story. So that's it for me.
Cool. Mikey.
Yeah, I agree, right? Siguro initially I was in it because I felt something, parang, for example, for Love of Siam, I felt that it resonated with me so much because I felt that it was somehow my story as well, and I wanted to explore that. I wanted to still get or feel that feeling that somehow I'm able to see myself in these characters. I'm able to relate to them more and on a deeper level because they are going through what I'm going through, or their struggles are my struggles, right? So it was basically for me to be able to connect not just with the characters on screen, but to connect with myself, because I felt that watching all of these characters and going through um, their daily lives, maybe their trials in life, and also um, perhaps the challenges that they encounter with regard to society and all of the norms and all of the expectations from other people, right? I feel that somehow I become stronger, braver, I become more knowledgeable, I become more educated. So that's why I watch these stories. Now, if there's killing there, absolutely, that's great, right? And we also look for that because somehow we also want to, let's say, see happy endings to our stories because maybe our lives are not as happy as the things that we see on screen, but at least it gives us sort of like that sense of hope, right? And I think that's also something that people want because there's a lot of stories out there, maybe a lot of individuals who may not be able to come out to their parents, who may not have a perfect relationship with their families, who may not have a perfect partner, right? Or who may be in a relationship that is very toxic. And that is why it is very important for us to tell our stories, to show people that there is hope for you, that there are other people out there who will treat you right, who will treat you the way that you should be treated, and who will love you the way that you are or who you are. And that is why I watch these stories because it gives me hope, it gives me happiness, it gives me that colleague feeling. But all the more is because it gives me joy. So that's why I watch these stories.
Okay. Hindi si Joy Dubai, like the Joy the
Hindi, iba talaga. Hindi talaga. Joy, ikaw yan.
Okay.
Hindi. Pero maganda rin sinabi ni Joy, actually.
Yeah. We'll read that later. Siguro, ako naman from my end, I think I will have to agree with you for piggybacking on what you said. Ayan, piggybacking.
Piggyback.
Sige lang.
So, piggybacking on you for, siguro ako naman, two things lang. One is, nasabi na rin ni Mark, and yung narrative, I want to see the struggle narrated effectively on screen, right? It's effective. We've been talking about caricatures, we've been talking about ineffective representation and all. I think struggles should be responsibly represented or depicted on screen. So yun yung gusto ko makita. Number two, I think maganda yung sinabi ni Mikey, parang I want to be moved by these series and episodes. So I don't just watch for entertainment, and it's good to be entertained, right? But sabi nga ni Ange kanina, parang we learn something from the community, from the society in general, right? So why did I ask this question? Nag-facilitate na bigla sa room.
Sure, go lang.
So siguro to our 20 viewers and watchers out there, ayan. Siguro the reason we ask this is we want everybody to understand and know who we are as BBS as a review group, because we're not here. We're here as fans, definitely. I mean, we love these series and episodes, right? But more than that, kumbaga, it's deeply rooted where we're coming from, right? That's why we may hear different opinions. Like Mark may say something about this thing, Mikey may say something about one thing, Lance, and even myself, because we're coming from somewhere. And the reason that we're actually watching these series is because there's really a deep reason. It's not just fan service. It's not just being kilig or what, but it's something deeper. And it talks about who we really are at the end of the day. So yan. So we will now transition to Gaya sa Pelikula para mas maintindihan ng mga tao kung bakit why we actually give reviews in such a way, right? Probably some of us are so kilig, some of us want to be happy, some of us may be critical, just like me a little bit, okay? It's good that we have a background. We give a background to our viewers and our watchers out there. Ayan, so, sino gusto mauna?
Sino ba mauna sa atin? Yeah, let's just read her first comment muna dun sa baba. I think, yeah, like what Joy was saying, she started watching BL because she wanted to learn about herself, because she came from the LGBT community, and also she's writing. Kaya she wants to understand why she was like that. Kaya when Carl said, going to GSP, when Carl said na gusto ko magsulat, parang that's me. I also want to write because I feel like I am an inherent storyteller for some reason. I like to tell stories either through different mediums, through photography, through writing, through film, through music. Whatever medium I could grab on, I would like to tell a story. Because for me, that's the main body or the essence of someone. We are all a story, kumbaga. We are collective experiences of stories, or moments and memories. And GS in this episode, it felt like the whole narrative brought us all home. I mean, from the downs, the ups, the grievances, the happiness, the sorrow, the joy, all encompassed in one song, The Ride Home by Ben and Ben, the new song. So, and especially that, it also brought me back to a moment wherein all of the characters there in that scene had to face the skeletons in their closets.
Yeah.
Especially, or in the terms of Anna, ang kinaimer sa closet.
Yeah.
The cadavers in their closet. Which, funny thing was, in that same closet, that's where the photo came from.
Yeah.
So those symbolisms I look for in a series. Ang galing ng tawid nila with all that. And it's also the same day that they saw the same photo nung kay tatay ni Vlad with him. So, and it feels like that it brought me back to a memory also na as storytellers, as people, we're all scarred in the same way. We're not perfect, we're imperfect. And it brought me back to episode 1, wherein we were all thinking of the same way. We were all criticizing, if you remember, Ate Judith for being a caricature. But if you look at this episode now you understand why she was like that. Why is she over, what do you call this? She's over energizing. She's over being an over extrovert with the feeling of that because she wants to compensate on what she had done before.
Right.
So parang this episode was like going, it's like, it feels like we're coming close to an end. Kaya naiiyak din ako. Kasi you see all the loose ends being tied together slowly until we get to the last 2 episodes of the series. Especially with the song, with that kiss, with everything that happened in this episode. That's all I mean, that's the biggest emphasis siguro sa akin na parang it's like isang malaking big high na it made me feel a lot. Kumbaga, Ange was sharing her video kanina. Deep inside, that's what I wanted to do also. Especially that it hit home for me. Kasi it had to do with home, it had to do with family, it had to do with all the imperfections in the family, it had to do with the same struggles we all undergo through. So I understand why we could hate it or not, but I don't see that you don't hate it. But the more that I like it, because it reminded me of one, I'll take the words of the writer from My Extraordinary, yung si Vincent de Jesus, saying that the 3 swords, I think that was the icon he showed, the tarot card of 3 swords. You all need sorrow, pain, and grief in our life. And with those challenges, we become stronger, we become more human, we live afterwards. And that's the beauty of this episode. We saw all their grievances, we saw all their baggages, we saw all their skeletons. So the next question was, for Vlad and Carl, would they accept their own baggages? And would it reconcile or fit their own stories? Yeah, yun. And nakakatawa lang kasi the words of the first episode talaga, yung nalala mo na hindi ikaw yung bida ng sarili mong kwento, that went back on this episode.
Oh, that's true.
Kaya that kind of reprise, if this was a song or a theater show, that reprise really made me cry. Made me go, gah! I love those moments. Sorry, Daldal.
I'll go next bago ako magkalat.
Sige lang.
Sige
I
lang.
think it's the first time na umiiyak ako sa live.
Wow! Tuloy mo yan.
And then kasi I remember one of our, hindi pala live, I think yung uh, our collab with the reactants. I like this show so much because I can put myself in the shoes of all characters in the series. Like, shit. So, I am not a member of the community, but I can so like feel Carl's struggle. You know, with that feeling that well, in terms of his relationship with his parents, I mean, you know that feeling that you just want to be a good child to your parents because you owe them everything and you love them. But at the same time, sometimes you parang just can't take it anymore. You feel like shit because you're not really happy with what you're doing. Or it's not really what you want in life. But you also have this feeling that if you disobey them, you're sort of like, you're automatically the bad child.
Yeah.
Not that I have issues right now with my parents. I love them so much. Yeah, yeah. But there are times that I can sort of relate to that struggle lang talaga. And parang just to avoid drama, you just shrug it off and sort of just not share it or be open with your parents. And parang yung sa episode na to, parang nagkaroon ng flip flip mo si Carlo. Parang, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, not just with parents, even with friends. I think I'm the type of person who is not really open about the struggles. I mean, I joke about it at times. I mention it, but parang I sort of only get emotional about my struggles when I'm talking to actually my boyfriend. And this is so cheesy, but I can totally see my boyfriend in Vlad. Parang I think I can be myself the most with him, and that's why I cried so much. Pero I'm just so happy for Carl because he finally finds someone na who can make him parang just be himself.
Right.
And at the end of the
Oh.
episode, it made me wish for all of my friends and the LGBTQIA++ community to find the Vlads of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
already found. I already found mine.
Yeah.
Kasi
Oh my God.
what you were saying is the same thing that I felt when I found mine. Parang ganun din siya. Na he finally, it's like he, kumbaga, if I were Carl, I would have been dancing like him when I found mine. That inner spirit na umiikot lang with that same, because that Ride Home was my song, kumbaga. If we have a theme song of the people we find, Ride Home was mine. When I saw him, parang, shit. I mean, I found my home, kumbaga. Sorry, naiiyak din ako.
Oh, that's okay.
Walang hiya sila, no?
Oo nga.
Wala naman tayong ginagawa sa kanila.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Yeah.
Actually, I tweeted while I was watching the scene, that kissing scene, that entire scene. I was still watching it, and I had to tweet because I wanted to send my message to Rainbow Globe Studios. Iyan, sabi ko, putang ina nyo. How could you do this to us? Like, seriously, alam mo yun. Like, it was just so much of an emotional roller coaster. And I actually relate to Carl as well because I know that feeling when you are, for example, I mean, he mentioned it already, and Lance mentioned it as well, that it's like there's a script that is already laid out for you. And what you're expected to do is just to basically read the lines and to deliver what is already written, right? So in a way, you're sort of like not free to carve your own story. You're not free to carve your own ending. And I did that for a bit, you know. My dad was a frustrated lawyer. So basically, he, you know, laid the responsibility on me, on my shoulders. So I always felt that okay, I have to do this for my dad, for my family, you know, for the honor, for the family honor, and whatever. So I did. I went to law school and I took it up for a year, but I wasn't happy. So much like Carl, I felt that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. So therefore, I mustered the courage to finally tell my dad that it's not something that I want to do. I don't want to pursue it anymore. So I stopped law school and then I went on and, you know, explored. Now, suffice to say, it took me a while before I found my calling, but eventually I did find it. But imagine if I had pursued that, maybe now I'd be living a life that I'm not comfortable or happy in, right? And all
Yeah.
because I needed to fulfill the wishes of somebody else. That I was just living the script that somebody else had written for me. So I could relate really a lot to Carl, and I think that we all felt it when he was finally free, when he felt
Mm-hmm.
that he could be free, right? So I didn't imagine that it could be that kind of scene, right? But when he started dancing, dance like nobody's looking, dance like nobody cares, etc. So I mean, it felt really like he was set free, right? I mean, it's a simple thing. It's a dance. You're dancing alone. But then again, I mean, the way that it was portrayed and the way that Pao did it, it just felt so. It just hit you. It just hit me real hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's sort of like very very smart as well when they did sort of like what do you call that? A full circle kind of thing because in the first
Yes.
episode it was Vlad who was dancing and he felt I think he was doing that as well to so that he could feel better, right? So in a ways he was
Yeah.
trying to um, free himself from all of the worries that were you know bogging him, etc. And then Carl was at the door, he was the one looking, but now it was the other way around. So it was now Vlad who was looking. And what I like is this time around the other party invited the person to join them in the dance. So now they weren't just dancing alone, they were dancing with each other. And that scene, my God, that entire scene. And I also know the feeling of someone being too concerned about what other people think, about what society thinks, right?
Yes.
So that's why I think that's why we do a lot of things that we don't want or we don't like
Mm-hmm.
because we are considering what other people might say about us. We are thinking about how it might affect us, or people might say negative things about us, right? But I liked it when Vlad asked because they were very close to each other, right? And then Carl turned away, and then Vlad asked him, "What are you thinking?" And then Carl said, "I don't want to think anymore." Or ayoko na mag-isip. And then
Ah,
Yes.
ah, grabe.
that
Grabe yun.
that kiss. Can we just talk about the kiss for a moment? Because that kiss
Yes.
was not just a kiss. It was
Yes.
the kiss. You
Kiss.
know, it was that kiss wherein fuck everything, fuck everyone. I just want to be with
Yeah.
you, and I want to be one with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Aw.
I mean, the way that he swooped in, grabbed Vlad's neck, and then started to go for it, I felt that.
Yeah, me
I
Yes.
too.
I really felt that, and
Alam mo yung naiyak mo ako.
I literally screamed like I screamed. I had to cover my mouth with a pillow because I didn't want my neighbors to hear me, but I literally screamed, and I had to play it again because I wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
but
Ako yung
serious,
malala yung
but
iyak ko.
seriously,
Nag-kiss na lang.
yes, Joe.
Wala
So
yung
was
iyak.
I. I know, but
Tapos
then
na 360 view pa nung umiikot yung camera around the bed.
exactly, it was a 360, right? It was a 360. Um, there were a lot of scenarios that went on in my head because in the last episode, it was basically Carl sort of like having sort of like I don't know, like this moment wherein we don't know where he's gonna go. Is he gonna avoid Vlad, or is he gonna be, is he gonna shut down, etc. Now, in the first part of the episode, we saw him sort of like avoiding Carl, right? But then when that scene happened, oh my God, right? And then the 360-degree angle. So he wasn't really thinking anymore. He was just giving into what he was feeling. And for a lot of us, that's when it starts. That's what happens when you let everything go, right? And you finally accept who you are, and you finally accept that you can have nice things and that you are deserving of nice things, right? And what I also liked about that scene was that the 360 degrees, the contrast, and there was a contrast somehow because Carl was really like, you felt his need. I wouldn't say he was desperate, but in a way he was kind of desperate, I guess, for Vlad's love, that he really went in, right? But then after he pulled back, Vlad was like, there was a little smile on his face, and then what he did was something very, very gentle. He sort of like reached up like that and just touched the chin,
Yeah.
and then
Oh my God.
it was like, what
Ah!
the
Oh. Uy, sobrang
the
totoo talaga. Ito, so
restraint,
real.
the
So real.
restraint, the restraint.
Grabe.
Alam mo yan? And it actually made it so much more romantic and kilig because
Yeah.
he was treating Vlad like a jowa. You
Totoong
didn't
totoo,
see
no?
any,
So real.
you didn't see lust, you didn't see
No, no.
desire, you just
No.
saw love,
Love.
you just saw it.
My goodness.
Oh my god.
Or ako talaga, no, it's the first time that was seen on screen eh, sa mga series, I guess. Tama, no? We've never seen
Mm,
that.
Huh?
mm, mm.
Yeah.
It's the gentleness that killed me. My God.
It's the Kwan, yung hugot, trying to stop the hugot desire, but I can't. Just go for it.
Aww.
Right. And I have to admit, I kind of sort of wanted to see them do a bed scene.
Mhm.
However, the cuddling was so much
Oh my god.
better.
Yeah,
It was
Yes.
I
so
agree.
much
Yes.
better.
I
You
agree.
don't need
I agree.
a
Hindi na
sex
kailangan. Hindi
scene.
na, hindi na. Wala na. Okay na. Okay na tayo. Okay na tayo. We're good. We're good.
Oh my
My
god.
Yes. Studios, we're good.
God. Oh my God. And the way that they're so
Super.
comfortable with each other. My
I
Yeah.
God.
know. And
So
it's Carl
apparent.
saying na, I'm surrendering to you, Vlad.
Mhm.
Siya yung yumaya. He's the one who's leaning on Vlad now in that cuddling scene, di ba?
Right,
Right.
right.
And it
In
also
all
gave us. Go, Ange.
in all the BSUs I've watched, I have this killing meter where it
Okay. Sumabog na ba?
throw my pillow, I shout. But for this one, I have an emotional wreck meter.
Oh.
Oh,
Dagdagan.
As in
What?
sa kiss, hug, oh my god, emotional wreck.
Yeah, yeah.
Emotional wreck. And I think. And can we also just address the patting of the hair part?
oh
The
Yes.
reason
yes.
now we know the reason why he didn't like his hair to be patted because it was connected
Yes.
to a traumatic part of his
Mhm,
history.
mhm,
Like
mhm.
when his dad
Mhm.
left, I mean, he mentioned that, right? That
Yes, he
his dad
did.
used to do that. His dad used to do that to
He
him.
didn't mention it, but that's the way the dad said goodbye
Right,
to
right.
him.
Right.
He and he didn't look back and he never came back, right? So that is why he didn't like his hair to be patted. But for him to allow Carl to pat him in the head that
Grabe.
way. He
Grabe.
was surrendering talaga. I mean, we knew he was sort of in love already because of what he was
Mhm,
doing,
mhm.
after the pancake scene. But then again, for him to be
Right.
able to do that, to allow himself to be vulnerable like that to Carl, it speaks volumes. It speaks so
Yeah, to let down
much.
your guard.
Yes.
Exactly, exactly, right? And oh my god, there were so many revelations in this series.
I
In
know.
this series. In this
And
episode. It felt like an
and
episode.
yung sa mom din, when she said na, I don't want any other guy to hurt you besides that one guy.
Yes.
Ah,
And
Right?
it's the
And
dad. Parang, ah!
wait, I thought she was talking about that ex. I thought she was talking
I'm
about
not
the
sure.
ex.
Ang feeling ko,
the
I took it naman as not the ex, but the dad. Parang she said na, I don't want another guy leaving you
Oh.
alone.
But that's true. That's
Mm.
true.
Oh yeah,
Right.
right, right.
Siguro
Right,
I'll have
right,
to
right,
play it
right.
back to get more context on that. But yeah, she doesn't want her son's heart to be heartbroken again. To be broken again, right? And it was very
Yeah.
important for her. And even Judith mentioned that mom is actually not actually angry that you're gay. I mean, she's angry because you allowed somebody else to break your heart like that, right?
Yes.
So that was a very good dimension to that. And yes, I admit I didn't like Judith before, I like her more
Mm-hmm.
now, but I still
Mhm,
think that she
mhm.
can be a bit much because I mean,
Mm.
can we just drop the accents? Like seriously.
True,
I
true, I
mean,
agree.
I appreciate that you are trying to be a good sister, but the accents, it's kind of unnecessary for me.
Yeah.
And yes, okay, so that's your character. That's fine. But, I mean, I just felt that it was a bit much. And um she sort of like did a reference to a movie in this particular episode wherein she said pinagsamantalahan niyo yung kahinaan ko or you took advantage of my weakness because I think
I
that was
was
a
Yeah.
thinking for which movie that was.
that was a I remember oh my god Maricel Soriano wearing black and saying that line but I don't remember from which movie.
Yeah.
But
Anak?
anyways, if you
Hindi.
guys know, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Pero,
sige quickly ano na, quickly din.
yeah.
So that I like the conversation with the sister in the restaurant because it gave a backstory, right? So I also like that Vlad called it out. Thank you so much, Vlad,
I
for calling
know.
it out. That
Yes.
she was what do you call that? Oh my god, he said a particular line. Stop parroting fake ally speeches.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are like that, right? They try to be the ally, but then they don't really know what it means, right? But I also like that Judith acknowledged that she was still navigating her way
Yes.
to
Yeah,
becoming an
yeah.
ally. I appreciate that, and I
Me
think that's
too.
that's one of the things that we are talking about in this BL community, right? That there are a lot of people who are supporting BLs, but they're supporting it because it gives them kilig, and they're not supporting it maybe because of the struggles that the BL community is facing, or maybe they have an idea of what the BL community is struggling with, but then it's sort of like from an outsider's point of view, but it's not really from an intimate or from let's say an immersive point of view. So I appreciate that we have allies, and just in case that there are any let's say any people out there who are just trying to be allies, please 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 don't do it for the sake of just being anong tawag dito? Nakikisabay sa uso. Please do it because
Socially
you really,
relevant.
yes, please do it because you
Yeah.
really want us to have better in terms of our benefits, in terms of, let's say, being treated equally, in terms of the legality of things, in terms of just being treated as decent human beings, right? So hopefully, ganon. Sige, medyo sumasakit yung ulo ko, so I'll stop for now.
Yeah. Tapos on Ate Judith, I mean on the actress, si Adrian Vergara. Come on, who could pull off that swing of emotion from up, down, that craziness that she's
Yeah.
been through, that roller
That was
coaster of
really
emotions?
good. That was really good.
That was really good. Hands down to you with playing with also. I know that the accents may be extravagant, but to switch from that accent to another accent, back to that accent
Mhm.
again, kudos.
Yeah, right.
And hi, and there's also saying something down. Ryan is Rion saying something down there.
Mm,
How we talked about Carl's backstory. I think
Mhm.
Ange spoke about it earlier. About
yeah,
feeling the same way, wherein our parents would parang feed us that kind of saying, we want you to become an engineer, blah blah blah. Parang I think that's part of the Filipino
yeah,
culture somehow that we want
yeah,
our kids to be the bringers of our dreams that never came true,
right.
unfortunately.
But I think this
And
goes on a deeper level, right?
yeah, and it's just deeper
Because
because it felt for me it weighed in two ways. Because one, parang that's why the dad retaliated in a way saying, why didn't you tell us in the video
yeah,
call?
Mhm.
Because
right,
it gave the impression that Carl wanted it also. But deep inside Carl, he was saying, no, I'm doing this because of my brother. Because I know you're my brother to be this.
Mhm.
Parang in the
yeah,
memory of the brother.
right.
Ay,
I think that's what gives it a deeper dimension, or maybe
yeah,
a more difficult angle. Because remember, Carl's brother was supposed to be the architect, but
yeah,
then the
Yeah.
brother died, and they had him a year afterwards. So he was supposed to continue the legacy of of the brother, right? Because the brother liked drawing, and it was really sad when the dad showed the drawing to him and said, "Di ba drawing mo to? Di ba you drew this?" And he was like, "No, Dad, that wasn't me." So I think all the more the weight, the
Oh.
burden of being the good son, it weighed all the more on Carl because
Mhm.
even the name, he said, diba? Parang even my brother's name,
Yes.
I got my brother's name, right? So
Yes.
I think for me, for my situation that I related earlier, it was really just about my dad's dream. But for Carl, it was so much bigger than that because basically he was the replacement son
Yeah.
and he had a memory to live up to. I didn't have any memory to live up to,
Right.
only my
Yes.
own. But he had his brother's memory to live up to and to continue. And that's effed up when that burden is placed on you
Yes.
from a very young age. Basically, he was born to continue that story, right? And for him,
Mhm.
that was so brave for him to finally
Yeah.
own up and tell his parents that he didn't want to be an architect anymore and that he really wanted to just write stories. The bravery of it all. I hope it inspires. Shit.
Uy, pero can you guys,
Yes.
I
guys
hope it
imagine,
inspires other individuals to be brave. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I start
Yeah.
can
crying.
you guys, can you guys imagine if they get to the part that when Carl opens up about his sexuality to his parents? Oh my god.
Uh, good
Yes.
luck.
Makoy, you're still awake. Oh my god. Is it because of the adrenaline?
I guess so.
Oh my god. Seriously, it's like what? 3 a.m. in New Zealand. Anyways. Yes, Makoy Koy. So many revelations from the characters.
And that quote, the last quote, you're entitled you're entitled to a love that lets you dance without fear and shame. That.
Yes, 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 yes.
Absolutely. And all the better if the person you love is the one dancing with you.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes.
This good guy. Wala na
I'm
akong
not
masabi.
okay, guys. I'm not okay.
Oh, Mikey!
It's okay not to be okay. Another
Kaya
K
palang
drama.
tahimik ka ng utak. Ay,
Guys,
but
watch
before
that.
anything else, we'd like to invite all our 84 viewers out there to cast their
Yay.
rating on Twitter. So
Wait,
just click on
we
the
have
link there
84?
in the comments. Yes, we are around 85 now. Okay, we
Oh
reached like
my
90.
Wow.
92 now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Is it
so
viewers
don't
or
forget
subscribers?
to
Wait.
subscribers.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
viewers.
Nakakahiya naman. Like, ready to viewers dito. Nung emotional.
Part
Malak-
one.
malakas ang
Part of
hugot
the
ng iyak
process.
mo.
Part of the process. So
Aloha.
again, don't forget to click on the link there on Twitter. Please don't forget to vote. Vote talaga? Ano to? Prime time TV. So what's your
Big Brother.
yeah. So please join us in rating this episode. Yan. Okay, we're all happy.
Right.
Sige. Go.
Right. What about Mark? We haven't heard from Mark. Mark.
Go si Mark. Parinig si
Talk
Mark.
to us. Nako.
Actually, I want to hear you guys first sana muna kasi this episode is so
Okay.
heavy. I mean, it's so heavy and light for all the right reasons. But
Yes.
first, since you asked, oh my god, since you asked me,
Aww.
Oh, don't
kasi
cry. I'm
I
gonna
relate,
cry.
I relate so much with Carl and Vlad and Ate Judith and the parents and to everyone actually. But first, I'll
Right.
have to say I relate the most to Carl because just like what Ange mentioned earlier, no, I am the youngest of six children,
Oh.
and so since they already parang and the age gap between my brother, the fifth son, and then ako is around 11 years. So
Ah.
Hmm.
so they basically have their own lives already. When I was growing up, I didn't have anyone at my age to
Okay.
to be with. I mean, it's I don't wanna make it such a big deal, such a big issue because I am so fortunate naman with my parents. I mean, they are very supportive for some things, and I appreciate them for that. Um, it's I can't imagine lang how I grew up na I don't have anyone na the same age ko, the same peer group,
Mhm.
growing up gay in a patriarchal community, and then you don't have at the same age as you are growing up. Parang it's like everything is you're dealing with everything alone. And added to that is the burden of doing good in school, in extracurriculars, in art, in music, in everything, in everything, I must say. Because um I am also I'm adopted kasi. So
Oh.
parang how will I balance those emotions? I mean, growing up, I mean, how would you really believe that a child would parang ano eh, I cannot say that I was robbed of my youth, but I was told to grow mature parang sooner than I expected to be.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
because yeah, because basically I was growing up with oldies. Um,
Mhm.
just I don't want to add to that kasi Ange mentioned it already on how the expectations in school and how to do good even if you feel like you don't want to do good. So
Mhm. Mhm.
for me it felt like I have to live up to their expectations and not mine. I mean, of course, I personally also wanted to do good. I want to do good for myself, of course, because I know it is also for myself. But
Right.
there's this feeling na um, the pressure. I know you all can relate that there is this certain type of pressure which we all cannot just shrug off if the pressure is coming from the people we love, most especially our parents.
Right.
Living in the community that we are in, the society in the Philippines, we are very much into our family structure. So that's how I relate to Carl the most. Um, to Vlad naman, parang I, I I don't necessarily have the same story as him because I was not naman parang told na you shouldn't do this. Ako person, I still have both of my parents with me. Hindi ako iniwan or whatsoever. Pero kasi I feel his, the sincerity in his words. I feel his story transcends to through the TV screen. It is really genuine and you can feel it. Like everybody can feel it.
Right. Right.
And oh my god. Kasi there's this, I after watching, I was reading comments, I was reading tweets, I was reading some comments in the mismong chat nung episode. And I see some comments saying na um, what the parents did to Carl was wrong. What the mother did to Vlad was wrong. What the sister did to Vlad before was wrong. Well,
Mhm.
I also have to agree, but I also cannot blame them because their truths may not necessarily be our truths because we are in a different generation. So for us, in our generation, in our standards, those may be wrongdoings. But for them, kasi they do not know what they're doing is pressuring the child already. Like what um, they do not fully understand what we are all going through. So for them, it might not be the same um, perspective as that we have right now.
Yeah.
Pero again, I also believe naman na they should also be more open. They should also be more
Yeah.
accepting that times
Yep.
change, generations change. I mean, there are differences
Right.
all throughout generations because sorry if I will
Yeah.
be bullshitting people, pero um,
Mhm. Mhm.
if we parang if we put up to their bullshits while we're growing up, why can't they, as grown-ups, keep up to our
Yes.
perspective, to our generation?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it should always be a two-way street. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't have I don't have that much naman na heavy feelings towards my parents. I'm still grateful for them. Pero yeah, isa ibang usapan
Mhm.
yung
Mhm.
sexuality side.
Yeah.
But I also have to say, there's this thing. I'm so sorry, nag-notes talaga ako habang nanonood kasi I don't want to miss this
Wow.
out.
Yeah.
On how Carl, kasi typical Filipino families would always consider their children as their retirement plans. I mean, parang well, millennials right now, I think millennials generally do not want to have kids. Pero for those who have out there, for the number of viewers that we have out there, if you have kids or if you plan to have kids, don't pressure them into your own life. They have their own lives din naman. So yeah, let's let people live their own lives.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys see it na parang I'm medyo putting it aside yung personal side. I'm putting it outside the perspective para hindi ako mag-ball out in front of you.
Yeah.
What I also like about what I also like about Ate Judith now, before kasi medyo, just like you, I was also dwindling on how I would place my hand into Ate Judith na. Pero he she somehow grew. Hindi siya somehow. She grew old and wise. I mean, we are, ako din personally, I was not so much into, I mean, hindi naman ako homophobe, pero meron akong something that would kind of I knew less before than what I knew now. Pero there's one lesson lang I liked from her would be hindi sayang maging bakla. I mean, hindi never magiging sayang.
Yes.
Na dahil isa kang bakla, isa kang tomboy, isa kang bisexual, transgender.
Yeah.
And also, on the flip side to that, there's this ano pa din medyo half-hearted pa din ako with Ate Judith at some point because somehow, for me, I believe kasi that being an ally, being is not a personality. It doesn't define who you are. It's just that a faction of who you are. But also, on the flip side, being an ally is also not a personality. I mean, you're an ally, pero you don't have to revolve your whole self into being one. No? Yan. And I also want to to mention how good the line is na basta ngayon magmahal ka na muna, like oh
right.
my God, di ba?
Right.
Yes.
How can and lastly, I know you all guys mentioned it already, like when Carl opened up to himself. First kasi you have to be very honest with yourself first. You have to validate yourself first before you to validate others and before you are validated by others then. So when he did that to himself, he freed from all his inhibitions.
Right.
Go. I mean, yeah. And so sobrang fitting nung song na I'm coming home to you. Tapos pag-open nung
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, ang galing.
And also those lines. You're all I need, the very air I breathe. Oh.
My God.
Grabe, no?
Yes. But I resonate with Mark then, some of the characters in the story, especially with Carl. Yeah, kasi although they say it may be a thing of the past, but that was my past somehow. Kasi they've been telling you different episodes na I carry the prejudices and the stereotypes spoken to me by three different intersections of life.
Right.
The Christian world, which my father's side is ultra-Christian, ultra-Catholic. The other side is the indigenous warrior class. And the third would be when you hear LGBT, so LGBTQ++. So intersect all three, and to me, that's what I've been dealing with for the past few years. And it's tough. Because you've been hearing, you have to act strong from the genocide. You've been hearing on the Christian side, na I heard from my father before, when the gay uncle passed by in one dining session. And we were all teasing as cousins, because he brought in a boyfriend. So we were just teasing by the bonfire, and he overheard us. Suddenly he says na, parang, Lance, huwag ka sali sa grupo nila ha. Parang parang I knew before then what I was. When I heard that from him, parang, shit. Parang, are you not allowing me to love who I love in the future if ever I become fully like that person? So that resonated hard to me during that time. Although right now my dad's oblivious, he's questioning if West Ganda is gay or not. So those kinds of questions arise right now. But I feel, yeah, honestly. So, I mean, growing up with that kind of environment was tough. So that's why I resonated with Carl a lot, especially in this episode, because it's hard to deal with that kind of struggle. You don't know where your mind is set at, and especially when he said that na ayoko na mag-isip, especially with an overthinking brain. That's the one thing I want to happen at times. I want that kind of peace. So I just don't want to think, please.
Yeah.
And I think, and my boyfriend's right in the chat, so I'll repeat what I said a while ago. Parang when I met him, parang that's the greatest moment. Nasabi ko, finally, with him, I found my home wherein I could set my mind at peace, where I could be free. Sorry.
You Oh, wait lang, sige. Pwede ako muna magsalita. But I will not share anything. I mean, you guys have shared pretty much anything, and these are really narratives and stories, real life stories. So, I would just like to acknowledge all the viewers who have been like participating in the comment box. I mean, these stories, your stories, guys, are really inspirational. Definitely, thank you so much for sharing these stories. Hindi na nagulat kami bigla kasi usually we get like around like 20 plus viewers lang, and now we have like 90, mabot na tayong 100 viewers out there, and the comments, the stories that are here. Fina-flash namin yung mga comments nyo as much as possible because we want to really look at these stories. Definitely, we'll read through these later after we have our session. But thank you so much for being open, for being vulnerable at this point. Sabi nga ni Mark, no, this is a conversation starter na episode, and we are definitely happy. BBS is definitely happy to have you on board. I'll just say two things. No, you guys have pretty much shared everything. No, a lot of things. Ako naman, I have my fair share of stories. Siguro I became very self-determined. I have my fair share of struggles also. But two things lang siguro. Number one, the reason also that we ask each other kung bakit tayo napunta sa BL, because ito na, lumalabas na yung mga comments natin, di ba? Yung reasons and purpose natin of loving BLs at the end of the day, right? You want to be happy, you want to escape, you want your actual stories and struggles to be told on screen. Number two, I think it was Mikey, Mark, or kayong apat yata nagsabi kanina, no? Na parang I think the episode does not actually do too much. I think si Mikey nagsabi kanina, parang we don't need any sex scene for this particular series. Parang the cuddle was sufficient enough. It sufficed already. And kasi parang ito yung sinasabi ko na parang I can be critical with some series, and I don't have to mention some of these series, no, but this particular series is really on top of my list, I'm telling you, because it does not actually exaggerate. It doesn't actually show cliches or tropes or anything. It just shows you the actual narratives and stories, and I celebrate this series really. I mean, I may sound like I'm actually over patronizing this, but I really am not, because these are actual stories and narratives. So please, let's be emotional. Tonight. It's okay to be emotional. So yun lang sasabihin ko. Go ahead.
Kaya nga labas na ngayon lahat. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know the feeling of boiling every emotion inside me. I think I was that when I was a kid. Then I hated it when it exploded in front of my face. I hated it when it exploded everywhere. So sabi ko, let's do it little by little. At least if you do it little by little, you get hurt little by little. Or you get to feel the release little by little.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, naiiyak. Oh. Okay lang yan. Sige, ilabas mo yan.
And another thing what I like about this series, because it doesn't try as hard. I mean, there are scenes that you feel that they are trying hard. Maybe except for the accent, pero that's the characterization. For the scenes, for the scene, it doesn't need to try hard. It doesn't try hard. And the last scene of this episode, I mean, there were some undertones that I kind of felt like, are they really going for it? Will they really spend the night together? Pero when they kept it wholesome, and I mean, when they kept it wholesome, it's really something that is celebratory, you know, because we are always, LGBTQIA plus people are always seen as sexual people. Like, we are all like parang thirsty hoes. Pero kasi, well,
But
It's
no.
We're
true at
not.
some point, pero that is not our personality.
No.
Yeah.
Di ba parang,
No.
parang whether you're heterosexual or not, or you're homosexual, bisexual, well,
Yeah.
you are at some point horny in your lives. So
Yeah.
it's not, let's not make it the circle of who we are now as the members of LGBT community, no. And what I like about the last scene kasi is when they kept it wholesome, it didn't tarnish the vulnerabilities of both characters,
Mm,
and it
true.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
tarnish the purpose of the episode. Kasi feeling ko, for me,
Yeah.
when if they did that, parang okay, so everything that they build up would eventually, like, for me personally, it would kind of crumble down. Na parang they put me in the high pedestal of the high intellectual thinking of who I am. Pursuing it, kasi this episode it felt like a retreat. It's a
Yes.
recollection for me, di
Mm-hmm.
ba? So parang
Mm.
if they did that, parang it would kind of make me question even for
Me
like a
too.
tiny bit. Yeah. Parang if they did. But I'm so glad that they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kasi, yeah. Well, although there's this one thing. When,
Mm.
sorry. Kasi we've all mentioned the story of Carl, Vlad, Ate Judith, the parents. Pero I just want us to to narrow it down, or like to come up with something that I think, I don't know if you would agree, like they are different people, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people have their own paths, and they're still navigating through their own paths.
Right.
So
Right.
so I think the common ground would be for us as people to be kinder and to be more accepting, and then let us also be more, not only self-aware, although being self-aware is a big thing, but also be aware that other people are also going through their own journeys, going through their own paths. So maybe we have our biases, that because this is our perspective, this is our point of view, but we sometimes tend to forget that other people have their own stories, narratives, and points of
Mm-hmm.
view.
Yeah.
So yun lang. I just hope that this episode would really start not only start conversation, because I think the conversation is also there. It's already there.
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
it
Yes.
to to put it out there on multitude na this is the story that GSP is telling is not the story of GSP itself. I mean, for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
the story of Gege. It's not the story of Carl. It's not the story
Right.
of Vlad, but it's the story
Yeah.
Right.
of the people who watch it. So that's why it's so relatable and
Yeah.
it's so good. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
whether you are part of the community or whether you're an ally or not, but why would you watch it naman if you're not an ally? Pero whether who you are,
Right.
there
Right.
is at some point that you will feel that you relate to the story, that at least a tiny bit, that you will relate to it, that will make you think, that even question your decisions in life. So ayun, I just want it to be out there na let us grow kinder and grow together, and
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
the last, yeah,
Yeah.
and just like what the last quote says, no, um ano nga ulit yung last, but the last quote would say na um that
You deserve.
oh my god, nakalimutan ko
You're
yung last
entitled to
quote.
dance without
I wrote
shame
down.
and fear.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I wrote down the Tagalog
Yeah.
version. It's marapat ka sa
Yeah.
pag-ibig na hahayaan kang magsayaw ng walang bahid ng takot at hiya.
Yeah, I
Wow.
like that. I like.
Me too.
There's this
I'll put it in the
there's
chat.
this gege flavor. I don't know why. Parang
Yes.
I've seen him twice,
Ah.
I think, in spoken word. Pero his flavor, like, not only transcends through streets, but for me it's generational. I mean, it would even transcend across other generations. It's because he's speaking from experience. I don't know if
Yeah.
he personally experienced those things, but he speaks from experience because of people he interacted with, because of people he
Right.
knew, because of people
Right.
he encountered. I mean, he's not only telling his story, but tells the story of people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially the community. Oh my god, yeah, I'm so
Yes.
glad I'm gay.
Yes,
And
me too.
I think that's one of the main points of
Amen.
having them. And I think that's one of the main points that was said by Gege, right? That these
Mhm,
stories are supposed to be told. Because so far, what we've seen
Yes.
are heteronormative stories, or it is the stories of gay people from hetero's point of view or from a female's point of view, right? So that is why it is very important for us to be able to tell these stories because number one, we want to tell it from our perspective, and secondly, we want to tell these stories because these stories are just as normal as everyone else's stories, diba? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a love story, period, diba? Regardless of gender, whatever. Because love
Yes.
is love, nga, diba? We always say
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think that people should eventually get that point, no matter what generation they are. Hopefully, they get
Hopefully.
that point that a love story, even between two boys, is a love story, and it's not
Yes.
something to ridicule. It's not something to be, I don't know, afraid of, because these are real individuals, diba? So hopefully we are getting the point across, and hopefully, parang we are also educating people. And I think somebody mentioned in the chat, kanina, parang he realized or he found out about microaggressions because of this episode or because of this series. And I myself, I'm still being educated, and I think that is also something that's very good that's coming out of this VL. That these VLs are not just teaching us about, let's say, um, love stories, but it's also teaching us about all the nuances, all of the challenges, all of the struggles, maybe even all of the verbiage, diba?
Yeah.
And all of the stuff. No, I cannot English anymore. All the stuff that comes along with being a member of this community, diba?
Yeah.
And I hope that it bridges the hets and the LGBTQIA, diba? And I hope that it builds solid groundwork or solid foundations for healthy discussions nga naman talaga. Because, I mean, we want to understand each other better. We want to be able to be
Mm-hmm.
closer to one another. We want to support each other, di ba? And that all starts from a place of understanding.
Yes.
So, hopefully,
Right.
with all of these stories coming out, na sana, magkaintindihan tayo all the more, all the better.
Yes. And I think you start by listening to the person genuinely and trying
Yeah,
to empathize with that person. That we may have different stories. I mean, different stories, but we have similar struggles. If you know what we've been through, just switch the struggle. Say mo lang, it's the same as your struggle as well. So if we say it that way, parang you know how we feel somehow. You know, parang would you want that to happen to you again? And it threw me back to an episode to Golden Girls. If you're familiar with the series, it's a very old series, really old series, at
I
1980s
know.
pa. So that old, they've been talking about this issue before. And I think the best way to sum that issue was, see, Blanche, one of the characters, had a gay brother. So she was asking her good friend Sophia, how will she deal with it? Because she couldn't wrap her head around the idea of her brother falling for a guy. So the best friend Sophia told her, why did you marry George? George was the husband. Because I love him. That's what Sophia said. So sabi ni, that's what Blanche said. And Sophia said, that's what your brother and his husband want as well. They just want that they're getting married because they love each other. Is there any difference? Sabi niya. And then Blanche said, no, there's no difference. So it's just love. Love is love is love. And that was
Amen.
1980s.
Yes, right.
Oy,
And that's the thing, though.
before anything else, so
Yeah.
I'd like to parang acknowledge siguro what Pat Maliksi said, no? I didn't know that I needed this para akong nakipag-usap sa mga taong totoong nakakaintindi sa akin. Grabe ang iyak ko. So,
Same.
ayun.
Oh,
Oh, definitely, Pat. We're here as a group, as a community. BBS will be here to listen. We're here to continue the conversation. So, yon. Take it away, Mikey.
Ay, nakalimutan ko. Ano sabihin ko? Oh,
Blanche,
no.
Sophia, Golden
It was,
Girls.
right. So
Sorry.
I think it's okay. I think what happened there is we had those voices in the past, but I think they were not maybe as, I don't know. I wouldn't say as loud, but maybe there were not as many before. Now, maybe there
Yes.
were some series that may have a voice, but it was a very small voice, diba? But that's the thing, eh? Parang these days we have so many voices, and together these voices, when they speak together and when they send one message, I mean, there's no reason why it can't be heard, and that is why I appreciate that all of these voices are coming to the forefront because we have so much to say and we have so much to do and so many people to share our stories with. So I'm so happy that this is happening at the moment. Yeah. Ayan, somebody even called it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Ang daming nagsasabi talaga. Parang it was perfect. It was perfecta. It's a masterpiece.
Yes.
Parang it's
It is.
God tier. It's yes.
Sa akin, it's
I would
poetry.
We haven't discussed about Ian and Pau's acting.
Ay,
Sa akin, it's
mama.
like Coke at the end of a really tiring, hot
Yes!
day.
Yes.
Ganda ng
Napagod ka.
analogy mo. Perfect.
Malamig na
Yes.
Coke siya. Ice cold Coke. My God.
Yes.
I feel so
So
refreshed.
kasi may ako eh.
Ano sa'yo ba?
Aww.
Soju sa akin. Soju siya.
Soju.
Not the
Iba.
same.
We gotta do soju night at
Iba.
one time. Diba?
Yes.
Ay,
Oh,
nako.
but
Anyway.
we'd like to, again, may ano na naman tayo dito, pa-plug na naman tayo sa
Plug.
Twitter natin, no? Guys, please let us know what you think. I mean, help us rate this particular episode. Go to this link, go to our Twitter account, and then let us know what you think about this particular episode. Anong rating natin? Okay?
Right. Go ahead and do that. And then we'll see.
If it's not 10, don't bother commenting. Joke.
Oh my God.
Ang maganda yung point na sinasabi ni Maki kanina. We go back, Nico.
Which one?
The previous
Yung
one.
one factor na takot tayo mag-open up is na takot tayo ma-fail natin yung expectations nila. I think he mentioned that.
Yeah.
Nawala na ako, diba? Kasi
Yeah.
ang dami ni.
Yeah,
11:10 p.m.
Pero to address that, I
Ay,
think...
ang dami palang 11:10.
Oo nga eh. Pero to address that, I think we should accept who we are and not base our expectations on them. And let them... Parang let's show them that we can take the lead of who we are and walk our own paths and prove to them na kaya namin to. Parang without your expectations.
Right.
So,
Ito ba
yun.
yun? Sinasabi mo, di ba
Hindi.
last na ako? Nahuli na ako. Hindi pa talaga, no?
Hindi na okay lang yan.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Carry
Ito
on.
ba?
Yeah,
Ito ba?
that's
Oh,
it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Tumakto ako doon.
Yes, tumpak.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
piggybacking on what
Piggyback,
Maki said.
yeah.
Although we are all for being accepting towards other people, and most especially accepting who we are as a person, we as BBS do not. It doesn't mean that we pressure people to come out. It doesn't mean that we pressure people to shout it out to the world who you are.
Right.
We are not. This is not the conversation. I mean, if you want to come out, you can come out, because for us, coming out is a personal choice, just like what we put out a month ago. Like coming out is a choice, and then it's your personal choice. It's your story. It's your choice. You take the full responsibility on how you want your story to be told. So whether you come out or not, it's entirely up to you. And don't let other people take that away from you, because that is your pride, that is your joy, that is solely for you. I mean, if being your if your sexuality is really at if there's one thing that would define your sexuality, it's being who you are. It's being how you accept who you are. But it doesn't mean, and it doesn't necessarily equate to how you express your sexuality outside. I mean, you may be masculine looking, you may be feminine, looks hyper feminine, but you may be you may be homosexual. So it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, it's not a race. It's not a competition.
Yes.
Right. It's not about who can come out first, because it is personal, just like Mark said, diba? So take your time. If you're not ready, you're not ready. When you are ready, you will know, and then you'll be able to take that leap. But one thing that I can also advise, apart from what Mark said, is that make sure that if you want to come out and you're ready to come out, but if you think that people are not ready and that something bad might happen, maybe they might, because we don't have the same situations, we don't have the same backgrounds, we don't have the same families, right? Somebody mentioned it in the chat. I'm looking for it, but I can't see it anymore. But we don't have the same circumstances. So if you feel that you coming out will make you homeless or
cause harm,
something, make
Yeah.
sure that you have a fallback, because if you don't have a fallback, it
Yes.
might not be the right time. So make
Right.
sure that
Yes.
if
Right.
you're
Right.
going to do it, you're ready, and it is you have a fallback.
Mhm.
Basically, that's it. Okay, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And for me, it's like,
Yeah.
for me, it should be all aligned. Like your spirit, your
Yeah.
soul, your heart, your mind should be
Everything.
aligned when you do that. Everything should be aligned. Because when your energy, your spirit says na your surrounding energy, what you give and what you receive are saying na, okay, it's good for me
Right.
to go
Right.
out now. And your
Right.
mind agrees with that, your heart agrees with that, your soul agrees with that. Your soul meaning your spiritual conscience and all that. I
Yeah.
think that would be the right time for me, for you. If maybe we could different experiences, but that was for me. Everything had to be aligned before I came out during that time.
Yeah.
And when I said na finally I'm ready, yun. It took me last year lang ata when I told, or 2 years ago when I told my mom. So it's been
Oh.
that. But
Yeah.
everyone knew, like what they were saying in the chats. Now everyone knew. I mean, I think I felt like everyone knew what they liked. So I was open
Mm-hmm.
anyway. I never filtered in Facebook. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
And
True.
they could pick
I
up signals.
Right. And I think I also would like to rep those people who might say or think, bakit kailangan ko pa mag-come out? Hindi ko na kailangan
Yeah.
yun eh. Parang I'm okay with it naman eh. Kung
Mm.
ano
Mm-hmm.
ako. And if other people, whatever other people think about me, dead man. And that's
Yeah,
okay
been there
too.
and there too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay too. Been there
Yeah,
there too. Parang
coming out is a personal thing. If
mhm,
it's coming out to other people by verbalizing it, then go ahead and do
Mm-hmm.
that. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
it's not verbalizing it and just acting the way that you want to act, that's also okay. Again,
Right.
it
Right.
is
Right.
up to you. It is your story. So,
yes.
ikaw
Ay, but
bida, bahala ka dyan.
thank you.
Yes.
I'm learning so much from you talaga. Like, I think
Oh.
Uh,
Alex perspective, what can I advise to them probably is to not force our friends to come out.
Oh.
yes.
Thank
yes.
Yes,
you,
please.
Anne.
My friends, baka, parang gusto mo to especially if you're close with that person, parang you
Right.
want them,
Right.
parang parang there are times na parang I want to know what the truth or kung ano ba talaga siya. But
Mm-hmm.
parang
Mm-hmm.
this conversation with you guys, now I understand why. So, thank
Yeah.
you.
Uy,
Kasi ang daming
Ange,
emotional baggage yun eh.
true,
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
And
Uy, parang,
they may
parang,
discard then afterwards kung parang you took out that experience from them as well.
Right, exactly. Oh, and
Yeah.
we also have to consider the aftermath of the coming out, right? Because the
Yes.
coming out is the the beginning. What happens after, diba? Because people might treat them differently. So maybe for a year, maybe for a couple years or 3 years, they might still be adjusting to how people are treating them because of their newness or their new
Mm-hmm.
personality or their
mm-hmm.
discovery about the person, diba? I think Joy
Mm-hmm.
also verbalized it now. She's already come out, but she's still dealing with it, or hindi pa siya
Mm-hmm.
sanay. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
true. I mean, for your entire life, if you've been living a het life for maybe 40 years or 30
Mm-hmm.
years, when you come out, that's a long process as well, right?
Right.
Because
It's a
now
process.
you
Right.
have this entire new life that you are just beginning, you get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
be gentle with them, I mean, don't expect them to start wearing ladies clothes
Right.
if they didn't grow up
Hey.
like that.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
don't
yeah. Come
these are
on.
microaggressions again, right? Parang, oh,
Exactly.
Yeah.
bakit ka nagdadamit ko?
True, true.
Diba?
Pero,
Yeah, so those types of things.
kasi we have this tendency talaga to be chismosa, especially
Mm.
I think
Yes.
as Filipinos
I,
we are, yeah.
yeah,
It's a
favorite question
cultural
nila sa
flaw.
akin, ginagawa nila
to
kang gaydar sa office. So, parang papasok may bagong guy na papasok. Uy, Lance, can you figure out
What
kung
the
gay or not? Parang,
hell? Is it even necessary, diba?
Yeah.
Right.
usually sagot ko lang
Like,
dyan,
would I
let
do
him be.
differently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
would there be a difference? Parang,
Mhm.
sabi, usually
Yeah.
I told one girl, let me know if you really like the guy, then I'll find out for you. But if you don't, let him be.
Right.
Parang that's what I said.
Oy,
Right.
ito may comment from Pat Maliksi, sabi niya, can we be Ate Judith sa isa't isa hugs, guys? Parang gusto ko i-propose na si Ange, ipasok yan sa BL. Maging ally na totoo si Ange. No. Yung
Yes.
studios, kung may panibago kayong
Joy. Joy
ipasok na to
Dubai,
si Ange.
AU.
Ito,
Ange sa AU.
si Ange, totoong ally to.
um
So sometimes the tester acceptance, dinadaan na lang sa joke yung pag-out natin. Pero minsan kasi joke, kahit joke lang, masakit pa rin lalo na di align yung response nila sa inahanap.
Yes.
Right, inaasahan mo response nila. Right.
Yeah.
Because even if you know that you might get rejected, but to actually hear the rejection, it's still hard. It still hits. It still hurts.
Right,
diba?
right.
Kaya, like what you said a while ago, kailangan may fallback. You have a backup plan. Let's say you hear this response from your mom when you tell this. So kailangan you already have a plan B or somewhere na, okay, so if she says this, I know what to do afterwards. I know how I make myself feel better or reconcile with myself. Now, it's not my problem. It's hers because she has her own way of dealing with the issue as well. I mean, because she grew up in a different society, or he grew up, their parents grew up in a different society wherein they carry a different standard, different stereotype. So it's for them, they would take a different process to break it down. I relate to that much kasi I think the last time we talked, I asked the same question again. Parang every now and then, I usually drop a question relating to that to get to know where is she at right now. Kasi the last time we talked when it came out, sabi niya, please give me time to weave and understand everything, to process everything.
Right.
That was the last thing she asked me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say something? So, I think magandang sinabi ni Maki Lagapan. No? Ang ganda siguro kung may ganitong session na maraming audience. This is one way of educating people, raising awareness. Okay, here's my take. I think I like what I'm hearing from you guys. Kaya nakikinig lang ako, no? I think Mikey said, you have to come prepared. You have to have a backup plan. You have to be calculated whenever you come out. You have to plan it in your head. Yes, that should be the practical thing to do. If to be safe. But here's the thing. I feel sad. You know why? But do we really have to go to exert so much effort to plan it out? Come on, guys. And now I am all the more motivated and inspired. Na parang, hey, let's keep doing this session, BBS, all the more to let people educate, to make people really educated at the end of the day. And if you have like an opportunity, I have a friend from one of the pride groups outside sa Thomson Reuters tapos before kasi I used to have like friends who were really homophobic, and then ang ginagawa ko, binablock ko sila, ina-unfriend ko talaga sa Facebook. And he told me na parang, yeah, I understand the feeling, no, I empathize with you. Ang sabi niya sa akin, but don't you think that could have been an opportunity for you to educate and let these people be aware? And I said, yes. If you have the opportunity, tama sabi ni Maki Lagapan, na parang we have to take that opportunity, not force them, but let them understand. No? And I think GSP really is a complete, it's a good depiction or parang representation of our stories at the end of the day. No? Ang dami kong sinabi, kala mo sino. Charot.
pero that's the hope, I mean. Nico, that's the hope na coming out, or we don't even have to come out anymore. Na we'll just say, she loves this.
Right.
Na, it's like we don't need to come out as straight, as gay, as bi, or as pan. We just love.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So yun
we're all hoping.
Yeah, pero yun nga I think that the reality is kasi parang we have to be more more conscientious talaga.
Yes.
We have to be more cautious. Kasi ang hirap rin let's say for example, you were inspired to come out and then you were thrown out of the house. So if you don't have a backup, where are you gonna go, right? Alam mo yun? Parang, and what I'm hoping is, tama ka, what I'm hoping is that someday we are not even afraid of what we say to our parents. And that is why I think Brain Boys was very good in that regard, that they had that conversation with Mama Layla, and Mama Layla verbalized it for all the parents that if your son or your daughter is afraid to tell you who they really are, and that means you may have failed to give them an environment of safety. They didn't trust you enough to tell you the truth about themselves. So as a parent, isn't it your, I don't want to say job, but as a parent, you should provide your children with that safe environment. It is because you are accountable for them while they are living in your house.
Yeah, you made
you made them.
you made them.
Right. I mean, sorry, I'm getting emotional, but I
Aww.
feel that,
Uh,
diba, as parents, it is your responsibility to love your child because
True.
if you love them and you love them truly, you will accept them for who they are. You will
Aww.
want
yeah,
them to be the best that they can be. You will want them
Yeah.
to
yeah,
be happy.
yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
diba?
Preach.
Right.
Yes,
Uy,
yes.
tama na. Kanina
Preach,
pa
man,
ako
preach.
Well, wait lang. Sige. Para hindi na tayo masyado maiyak, may backstory din naman ako ng konti of myself. So, I didn't really come out per se, like, hey, I'm gay. Walang ganong eksena. But, I was in high school back then, and meron kaming parang family reunion. We were here in Manila. And then my mom was like, oh, shucks, wala akong time mag-ayos ng buhok ko. And may pixie cut kasi yung mommy ko, yung buhok niya. And then katakatahan ko
Yeah.
sa niya maglaba. Niya, walang time mag-ayos. Eh, lola mo, eksena. Sabi ko, akin na try kong ayusin. So, inayos. Nag-gel, nag-spray net ako at gumanda talaga yung buhok niya. Alam mo, sabi niya, ang ganda ng ginawa mo. Sabi ko, okay. Sabi niya, wag mo lang sabihin sa daddy mo. Sabi ko, okay. Ayun, yun na yun. So parang, we, ha- we have our own coming out stories, definitely. But, at the end of the day, ang mananaig talaga is, I mean, we are human beings. I mean, we're not just any different people, di ba? Tama sabi ninyo, parang sana one day we can just go to the grocery store or shop and we're just with our partner and then hindi naman kailangan mag-PDA tayo or what, but parang ma-feel man lang
Holding
natin na
hands.
safe tayo, di ba? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Yeah.
we are normal
Yun.
people.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are people, period.
Yes.
O may nagsabi pala sa ano, si Air Source says,
Guys,
I just,
wait lang.
Go, go.
Magbubook lang ako. Stella Garden.
Actually, been
Stella
there.
Garden.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I've been there. Oo.
Ipilapit ko lang sa Pasay, I'm telling you.
Oh,
Sige na,
nice.
guys.
I went.
Bye, Nico. See you there.
Bye, Nico. Kaya pala sabi ko that it looked familiar kasi I've been there na. That's where we stayed
I've
when
been
we
there
had
for
a...
Ay, sorry.
Okay lang.
I've been there for a team building from my previous company.
Really?
Din ako sa
Okay. Maganda, maganda.
And, yeah. They're super.
That apartment, if I can rent that apartment
Mark,
for a
wala
time,
tawa.
I would gladly stay there and reenact the scenes. Reenact natin yung sa couch, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung
Sige.
sayaw,
Okay.
yung sa bed, reenact natin yun. Masaya yan. Sige. Next year.
Mhm.
Next year.
Next year.
Tapos mamaya iba na pala yung interior design, no? Sila pala talaga yung nag-setup lang noon, ano?
Parang
Oh
iba
my
nga
gosh.
actually. They added stuff there kasi iba yung interior design nila talaga. Or it depends maybe on who owns the
Yeah.
apartment inside. Kasi I know they do Airbnb with that too minsan.
Lionheart.
Yeah.
Lionheart.
Oh.
Oh.
Grabe
Yan.
tong episode na to, no?
I know.
Kakaiyak.
Nakaka-emotional talaga. Oh my God. Guys, thank you for all of your comments. We're sorry that we can't read everything. Pero appreciate. Later on, mag-backtrack ako. Gusto ko mabasa lahat ng sinabi.
Ang dami na yun, Mikey.
I know. Hanggang walang tulugan to. Hanggang
Pero we feel the love.
Mr.
Yes,
Yeah,
One
madami
guys.
pero keep them coming.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Alright.
Yes, tama si
So I
Mark.
know you guys. I know, guys. We talked about who is our. Remember with the reactants. We talked
Yeah.
about, and Rion, you're here. You know what we're talking about. We had a choice to give best scriptwriter. I think. Medyo. Ito na.
Ito na yung
I think-
episodes.
I
Two
think
more
I am-
episodes.
I think I'm moving. Ash, I love
I
you.
can feel
I love
it
you.
already. It's tipping
I
already.
told you.
Ash, I love you. But now the scales are tipping. The scales are tipping.
Yes.
As long as they don't give me a high five ending, I'm good.
Yeah. Ay,
But I just realized wala
Jake.
pa yung
Jake.
sa trailer
Jake,
na
Jake hugs. Pero I know that's the journey of my uncle naman. Yung the gay uncle who I said, parang it took him a time to tell his parents then because his parents are really old. and his dad was a priest. So it made for them, it took them time for them to heal to a point na sila mismo open a discussion with him. So if you can't come out, allow themselves to open a discussion. And I think you'll feel it naman, they'll stop asking you questions like, when will you get married? When will you have a girlfriend? If those questions start to be dropping, stops already. That's when I knew na I think my dad had an inkling already, or my mom had an inkling, when they stopped pestering me with all the questions about wives, girlfriends, etc.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And you're saying something?
Yeah, Ange.
I just remember the scene in the trailer. They have, anong episode yun? Natatakot na ako.
Are you accusing me?
Iyak siya, may nayakap siya. Baka si Tito Santi yun.
In the part na sa baba, kasi diba, it was said once, it was said twice. The first scene was in the first episode, and it's gonna happen again, diba?
Yun
Are you accusing me of a crime?
Yeah. Di ba hindi pa namalabas yun?
Yes, Manuel.
Yes, Manuel, I feel you on that one. I came from a religious family too.
Siguro something to add to the mix. My parents are gone, so I was never able to tell them. So
hugs.
I think that's something that weighs on me, you know.
Mikey.
So I mean, if that is a factor, go ahead and tell your parents. Again, when you are ready.
Yeah, when you are ready.
Because your parents also deserve to know who you are.
Uy, naiiyak ako sa iyo. Grabe. Sobra. Pinipigilan ko lang siya. Magpapataw ba ulit ako para matawa naman tayo lahat?
Hey guys, let's drink your water, bitch. Hydration Nation. Yung mga nabawasan ka ng tubig.
Yes. Oh, but before we move on and discuss further and say more about the episode, we are not only here to celebrate the series that we watch or the episodes that we watch. We also celebrate each other, no, bawat isa sa atin. And that's why we'd like to celebrate our 100 subscribers on Brouhaha Squad just tonight. Maraming salamat po. We are here to wala tayo, hindi tayo ready eh. We did not
Didn't we start with like 80 earlier?
I know. 80 lang talaga.
Oh my God,
Maya, Ange, alam mo na, 11-11.
11, guys.
Kung mag 11-11, kung mag 1-1-1 ba tayo?
Oo,
11-11.
But I think BBS is here to stay, not for the subscribers, no. We are here to celebrate everybody. This is a community, BBS is a community. We don't just do reviews, but we tackle. Kaya nga ang starting question natin for this session is, bakit ka nga ba napunta sa BL? Because that's why we're talking about these things. We're coming from somewhere. Di ba ang lalim? Ganun tayong excited. So, thank you, happy 105 subscribers! Yay!
Thank you guys! Oh my God, thank you so much, guys.
Pa-intellectual tayo. Charing, joke lang.
Oh my God, grabe. Dahil na episode na to, grabe.
In all seriousness naman, no, what our subscribers or what our viewers see and hear from us are our genuine selves. And we are not pretending. We are not. We are not scripted. We are just celebrating each other, and then we are so happy that you guys appreciate us. And for our new subscribers, we have a lot of videos. If you want to, you have some free time, you can also watch those videos and hear from us, and also join in the conversation. Just type your comments in those videos, and even next time, if you want to join, come up on screen. We're totally welcoming you guys to show up here on screen. And typically we're 7, but now we're just 5. But
yeah, you can join in the mix sometimes. If you have good opinions, suggestions, not afraid of the camera, come on.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Thank
you very much, Sam. Oh my God. Ayun. So, anything else that we want to say about this episode? I think we've said a lot, but anything else?
Pero hindi pa tayo umabot sa quota. Wala pang 2 hours.
That's what I'm about to say.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Pat.
It's so weird that we have already said so much. We have already so much and each other's comments so much, but we haven't even reached the average time of our review.
Wala pa!
I know. Grabe. And I'm
Aww.
It
so
just so
I'm
it
yes,
no,
Mark.
go. I'm
No, I was
I'm
just gonna
just saying it just shows how ano I
go.
it just shows how I know how we have so much to say about this episode now. Kasi we are not actually talking, we're bantering, we're communicating, we're communicating. We're
Yeah.
us five are
Yeah.
communicating here with our viewers. Na. So thank you. Go Mikey.
Yeah.
So
Aw.
Well, I
Aww.
also wanted to piggyback off that. I just
Piggy
want to
Piggyback.
back.
thank everyone in the kailangan ulitin.
Ganun
Catchphrase
dapat.
namin yan eh. Catchphrase namin yan eh. Pag may nag-mention, ulitin na lahat. Ganun ba yun?
Yeah.
Sige, try ko. Oh, so to piggyback
Piggy back.
Piggyback.
off what Mark said, I really appreciate that you guys are sharing your own coming out
Aww.
stories in the
yes.
comments,
Yes.
diba? Kasi
Yes.
parang
Ang dami.
I mean, that's what we sort of like hope or aspire for or aspire to do, di ba? Na parang we share our stories to each other and we
Yes.
encourage each other too, di ba? Kasi community naman talaga tayo. At kung hindi tayo magtutulungan,
We are.
magsusuportahan,
Mhm.
magtatanggapan sa isa't isa, sino pa ba? So, salamat sa inyong pag-share.
Thank you
Yeah.
Okay,
so
may tanong ulit si Pat. I think we answered it before, but we can reiterate again. So, what can you advise ng peeps na gusto mag-out or di makapag-out because of certain things?
Oh.
Go ahead, Lance and
Okay,
Mark.
I'll go first. Much has been said earlier, no, pero I just want to express that no matter how ideal our thoughts are, our opinions, our own comments earlier, no matter how ideal they are, I have to also agree with Mikey, no, na, now you also have to have a practical side and ration yourself if you are ready. Because as of now, sadly, in this lifetime, we are at the age or we are at the time that we have to come out, or not have naman, pero if you want, you have to come out. Hopefully in the future, no, we will not have to do it now, no. Pero for now, if you have to come out, just have to prepare yourself. I mean, just like what Lance mentioned earlier, no, align your whole being, whether you really want to come out or not. Because again, coming out is just the first step of many. We do not know how many steps it will take you to fully realize yourself and to fully express yourself to other people. But that is the first step. Some people might say that the first step is the hardest, but
Mhm.
I don't want to assure you because I don't have really a coming out story. Pero I hope you can also understand that whether you come out or if you were about to come out, the first step is not the hardest. Every step is hard, especially in this generation, in this lifetime, in this community that we are all in. So I don't want to sound preachy, no, pero yeah.
Pero I do understand that it really took a long journey, especially for my case, personal experience. It took me 30 years of existence to finally say na I am this, to finally define I am who I am right now, that I'm a boy who happens to fall for a boy.
Okay.
Right now. Because if we're going to John's perspective or Leon's perspective, na
Right.
it may change anytime. That's okay also. That you may fall for a guy today, but after a few days later, you realize na, wait, my language of love broadens pala. I have a wider spectrum of love, and that's okay as well. As long as you love that person, as long as you're coming out for love, and you're coming out because you feel that you really need to, not because you are required to.
Right.
That's when you do it.
Right.
I think you feel that when you really need to and want to, but you're not required to do it.
Right. So if on the flip side, if you don't want to do it, or if you feel that it's not necessary for you, then yeah, I mean that's your truth, right?
Yeah.
But take it as a personal thing. Take it as a personal step, and you'll figure it out eventually. Yep.
And we're all here anyway. If you need to talk about it, we're all here. We can support you. Yeah, we're here.
Yes.
So I think Pat was saying that. Yeah, Pat was the guy who said, "I hope he had friends like us in the circle." So we're here. And he
we're
just
all
followed
a
us all in
circle.
in Twitter.
We're
So
a big circle.
yeah. And I told him
Yeah.
na our ecosystem right now, especially during the
Yeah.
pandemic and after the pandemic, grew so much that the virtual
Mhm.
landscape became our new world. That we would
Yeah.
have friends like
Yeah.
Mikey here would have friends from South Africa, from Alaska to New
Right.
Zealand.
Right.
So
Right.
it's that far, and they all chat in one big
Right.
global Zoom sphere. So it's that we are that kind of world now.
Yes. And yeah, just to add to what Lan said, um, so it's okay to start reaching out to people as well, even if they're strangers, because sometimes I think it is easier for us to talk to strangers than to talk to our own families about certain
Mm,
things, diba? So
mm.
if you
Yes.
need to, go ahead and reach out to a stranger or maybe a person that you've started communicating with online. Because, like Dan said, I've been able to find another family on Twitter, right? So
Mhm.
now what we do is we have a Zoom hotel. It's called a Zoom
Right.
hotel because it's
Mm.
open pretty much 25/8.
Okay.
Like because Zoom, para sa kaalaman ng karamihan is Zoom can only go on for a maximum of 30 hours. So after the 30th hour, another Zoom link is sent, and then we go in there. So pretty practically, there are people who kind of live there already. Like they sleep there,
Mm.
they just turn off the audio, and then they wake up there, and
Talaga?
there's always some
Mm.
people there. And
Kaya siya hotel.
at any time of the day, you
Yes.
will have someone to talk to because we have people from the
Ah,
Philippines, from the
oh
Netherlands,
my
from South
gosh.
Africa, from the
So
US,
nice.
from Alaska, it's from
From
Norway.
Alaska, New Zealand, from Alaska to New Zealand to Norway to Spain. What else?
So there's always someone to talk to. And, I mean, of course, it's not all, let's say, deep thoughts and deep conversations. I mean, we have fun as well. So we play Among Us, we talk about random mundane things, we talk about our
Yeah,
BL
yeah.
ships and all of those things. So if you can build a community wherein you will be comfortable being who you are,
Right,
go ahead and do that, diba? And hopefully that enables you to become braver in other aspects of your life.
right, right, right.
Or you
Lionheart,
can go
yes.
small lang naman. Like what Joy is doing right now. She's just chatting around with different people, different reactors, creating her
Mhm,
own
mhm.
alternate universe. That's a good way too.
Right. So pick one that
Right.
works for you. We're not
Yes.
all the same. So
Yes.
if you find something that caters to you and your personality, great.
Yep, yep, yep.
Nepal,
Wow.
hi!
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hello.
Yes, that's
Hey,
a
hey,
very
I
valid
hey.
just have
fear.
Yes,
to say
it
no.
is.
Because I checked our Twitter account and we already have 18 votes for the poll Nico gave us a week ago.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's a
So
flash ba
so
natin
for
ang result?
uh, yeah, I sige later. Pero
Yeah.
Ah, sige,
with
go, go. Joke lang.
if you if you guys haven't voted yet, if you want to vote, it's not compulsory naman. Pero if you want,
Mhm.
you can go to our Twitter. The link is in somewhere in the comments. But if it's hard for you to find it na, just go to Brouhaha B Squad on Twitter. It's at
Yeah.
the top of the list naman of the tweets because it's the latest tweet. So you can give us your vote. Give us your vote? Ano to? Election.
Election.
Big Brother.
Ayan na, pinost niya na ulit. He posted it again.
Ayan, ayan. So you guys check
Yeah.
it out.
Grabe. Kaka-vote na tayo. Yesterday, iba naman pinaka-vote natin ngayon. It's a different one.
Oh, this is cool. I just looked at
But
the voting. I'm gonna vote too.
talaga, cool, cool, cool. Ito na lang siguro, parang just to cap off our session tonight. It's really a beautiful conversation. Nag-iiyakan na tayo at lahat. Pinipigilan ko lang sarili ko, no? But siguro, ano na lang, for our next series and episodes, what makes a series, it can be BL or non-BL, good? What's like your personal criteria of a good series or or a good series, yeah.
Hmm. I think parang this is similar to what was asked during the
Yeah.
reactors meet.
Yes, it's
What do you
similar
look
to.
for? So I have the three R's that I mentioned.
Mm,
It's realistic, diba?
okay.
So
Yes.
it should be grounded in reality. So right now we
Mm,
have BLs who are talking about, who are carving stories or laying out stories in a pandemic. diba? And that's what we're going through, right? And the second one would be yung relatable characters, diba?
Right.
So we want to see ourselves in these people, in these characters, because we want our stories to be told as well, diba? So if it resonates with us, that's something that I look for. Because if I feel that okay, parang yeah, I can't relate to the characters, I won't be interested in watching it, right? And the third one would be relevant topics, relevant issues, relevant stories, diba? So we don't tell a story just for the sake of telling a story. We don't tell a story just because we have the money to do so and we can buy 8 dogs and then showcase the wealth that we have. So it has to be
I know that.
It has to speak. It has to speak to the audience in the way that they need to be spoken to. Diba? So it has to be relevant talaga. Diba? I mean, stories about coming out, stories about families, stories about acceptance, stories about feeling that you are playing second fiddle to your dead brother or trying to live a memory. I mean, these stories are all relevant because they are our stories. So yun, realistic, relatable, and relevant.
That makes sense. I like that. Tatandaan natin yan. Oh, pakiulit nga. Ano 3 R's, guys?
Realistic, relatable, and relevant.
Very good.
I remember that from the reaction speed.
Yeah.
Trainer mode eh. So tumatak.
Trainer na trainer.
Baka gawa na acronym din.
Pietro, I'm talking
May
about...
workbook po ba?
Sorry.
Pietro, we're talking about the series that shall not be named.
Views and opinions of the host do not reveal the views and opinions of others in the... And also...
But seriously, he does have 7 dogs.
Oh, okay.
7 chihuahuas.
Oh, Pietro, we have over 25 cats in my household.
Magta-30 na ba, Mikey?
I think umabot na. Umabot na talaga.
Lost count.
Oo.
Yes. The humans are just tenants. The cats are the owners of
Grabe!
Air source.
Let's hear from Ange.
Yeah, let's hear
The
from
answer to the question.
And
Yeah.
Actually, kasi nung sinagot ka to, as long as it makes me feel happy or kilig, or as long as I'm entertained, I'm okay. So, I think I have to change the question to what makes an epic series. And
Okay.
I think it has to be socially relevant, great acting, and yeah, just really relatable and parang a content where you can learn a lot of things and realize a lot of things. So there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ange.
sino na?
Sige, ako muna. Isa lang naman yung arco.
Oo.
Isa lang naman yung arco.
Ano yan?
Yeah, I changed it to R because I forgot what I said earlier.
Wait, balikan ko lang.
Will you really? 4 hours yan, Mike.
Oh my God. It was fun though.
Yeah.
I'll explain later. I'll tatantak muna.
Okay. I'll just add to what Ange and Mike mentioned. Kasi the qualities that I've said are also the factors that I look into to consider a series good. No? Pero for me, I just have to stress again and again. I think I've said this in a couple of videos or lives now already. I just want it to be responsible. That explains it already. I just want a responsible production, responsible actors, responsible series, responsible set, responsible everything. Yeah, that's just it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that in the reaction.
Yeah. Pero what I remember with Maki before, I think like if Ange was kilig, yours was a triple R's, Maki's was more an experience. Because he's an experiential guy. So he has to feel the kilig. he has to go with the experiences of all the characters. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Kaya we have all different perspectives. Kasi Nico's the critical film buff critique, kumbaga. Mike goes with the triple R's. Angie and Patty go with kilig. Mark goes with experience, and I go with storytelling. So, but I created an acronym just like Mike. So it should be a balance of a SMIRC. SMIRC meaning storytelling, music, impact, relevance, and kilig.
I like that! Wait, isa pa.
Once more, with feeling.
SMIRC.
With feeling. SMIRC. Storytelling, music, impact, relevance, and kilig.
Okay, mga viewers na.
Bye guys, uwian na.
Mga viewers natin.
Okay, bye-bye.
Kayo guys, may mga acronym ba kayo dyan? May mga
Bye na.
May cash prize ba to? May cash prize ba to?
May first runner-up, may second runner-up tayo. Ganon.
My God. Nakaka-fresh next time. Nako, next time.
Dapat pinaghandaan natin ito. Mga acronym parang labanan dito.
Oo, na-inspire sa triple R's eh. 3 R's.
Oh my God.
Ako nga isa lang yung R ko.
Mama, hindi pwede.
Lima talaga.
Hindi pwede.
O dapat yung sunod 7 eh.
Correct.
Odd numbers.
O ibigay na raw yung corona. Kaya nasa gitna ka.
Oh my God.
Nico, the film buff ka daw.
Hindi naman siguro
Nag-workout yan.
Oh my God. Gusto ko yun.
I cannot with you, Pat.
Pat, paki-explain ano to. Pasok yan.
Explain what ano ibig sabihin
Share mo yan.
Share mo yan.
Maki-explain.
You better be able to explain that.
Pat, hindi ko tatanggalin yung banner na to until ilalagay mo yung ibig sabihin yan.
May partner ba yan, Pat? Napangalan din coincidence talaga ang series ngayon.
Nag-iisip siya.
Basta tayo
thinking.
Isama na yan dito.
Bigyan
na ang kalat ngayon.
Ano daw?
Sabi na magkakalat hours na daw. Magkakalat na daw. Kaya kalat hours na. Ibalik mo si Pat.
Oh my God.
Pat, mag-aantay kami hanggang alas 12 tayo dito.
Ayan na, meron na siya.
Magpatulog na tayo ng tao.
Meron na ba?
Oh my God.
Meron na siya.
Ayan. Ayun pala.
Something. Ano tawag dyan?
Naitawid
mo. Gusto ko yan.
Tumawid yung Pepe.
Ang galing.
Oh my God. Naitawid ng Pepe.
Sorry. Natawa ko sa naitawid yung Pepe. Parang in my head, parang tumatawid talaga yung Pepe. Oh my goodness. Just
oh my God. So does everyone like the Pepe of GSP?
Perfect.
The perfect English and perfect emotion.
Glad has perfect English. You know.
Oh yes. We do.
Just go.
Ay, Diyos ko, pinawisan ako doon. Grabe.
Ay. Saya.
Napagod ako.
Tara na. Tulugan na guys. This is a really, really good episode, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can top this episode. Seriously, I don't know.
Right.
That's why I'm scared for the next 2 episodes that will come. Kasi those are the lines na susunod. Why did you see parang that yung assume as yung ano tawag na to? Was that other line?
Like I accused you of a crime.
Yes, that.
And the crying scene with, I think it was Tito Sanz. That crying scene. Why?
Boy, sorry. Wait lang. So, may comment talaga si Air Store. Sorry, natawa talaga ako dito. Oh my God! Ang tataba ng mga utak nyo. I love it.
Oh my God. I'm
That's
sorry.
good,
Pepe
guys.
Smith, wherever you are, I am sorry. We're
Sorry.
sorry.
Good
Pepe
day.
Smith talaga.
Guilt Pepe Smirk ngayon.
Oh my God.
Wait lang, sorry. Na-imagine ko.
Oh my God, pawis ako dun, ha?
Oh no.
Langya kayo.
Sorry.
Okay na tayo.
Okay na.
Napagod
I
na
think we're
ako
good.
doon.
I think we're good. So for me, 2 thumbs
So, kaya
up.
nagsismirk yung ano nyo? Sa ang series nagsismirk.
Yung Pepe nyo.
Tigilan na
Oh
natin
my
to. Tigilan na natin to.
God.
May panglaban si Mark. Si Mark Arlante, panglaban siya.
Ilaban mo yan.
Okay, Mark, ilaban mo yan.
Nagsismirk din ba
Mark.
yan?
Oh my God, kayo.
Titi
Diyos ko,
Smurf.
Day.
Okay, Mark, ilaban mo yan. What
Ano
is your
yan? Ano
tite?
yan?
Ay, in
This is
fairness
Mark.
din.
No. Mark, show us your tite.
Meron
What
siya.
does it stand for?
Ayan na.
Show,
Oh, it's timeless, impactful, truthful, enlightening.
Wala.
Suya Matiti,
Diba?
Pepe Smirk.
Piggyback. Ipiggyback na yan.
Piggyback.
sana lahat tite. Sana lahat tite.
Ipipiggyback mo yan, Nick.
Ay, oo naman. Ako pa ba? Mikey,
All tite talaga.
natawa ako kay Mike. Sabi ni Mike, ipakita mo yung titi mo.
Oh, pakita mo yung tite mo. Pinakita niya na yung tite niya. Ayan.
Oh.
Ayan na.
God,
Ay, pakita
damn.
na. In fairness, Mark, ang ganda ng tite mo.
Oo. Pero actually, nakakatawa. There's also a story with that name kasi dun eh.
Ano na, Diyos ko, Day.
Tawag yung Pepe sa tite.
I know.
Oh
And would you
my
believe na I met a Georgian whose name was Tite also? So, we had to repeat his name pa ulit-ulit. Yes.
Oh
We had to repeat his name. Parang, wait, how do you spell your name? Tite. So, how do you pronounce your name? Tite. Parang, are you serious? Oh, that's his name. He's from Georgia nun.
Oh my
Kaya
God.
we were teasing the girl saying, my good friend, saying, uy, your Pepe has a new tite now.
Oh my God.
I'm dead, guys.
Hoy, baka mawalan tayo ng ano dito, Day.
Well, those are two names. Pepe is the name of Jose Rizal, di ba?
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
Pero,
O sabi nga ni Ryan, natama ng utang natin.
Lord, grabe. I love our viewers. Ang tatalino nila.
Yes.
True.
From deep conversations to mababaw
Ang bilis ng
real
shift,
quick.
diba?
Ang bilis. Versa kayo, guys. Versa.
O, ay, alas 12 na raw. Magkalap na raw.
Matulog na tayo.
Ay na, kung meron pang pahabol sa Lionheart. Diyos ko.
Lionheart, ano ba? Ano yan?
Language
Ano
yata
yan?
to eh.
Ito ba?
Ano yan?
Pak.
Oo.
Ay,
Ano kaya
ilagay
ibig sabihin
yan.
Ibigay mo
Ilagay
yan.
sa comments. Ilagay sa
Guys.
comments.
Ilagay yan.
We will wait for it.
We will wait
Yes,
for it, Lionheart.
we will wait for it.
Mag-aabang
ilagay niyo
na
yan sa
kami.
Twitter. Guys, ilagay niyo yan sa Twitter, ha? Tapos itag niyo kami.
Yes, please. I'll definitely put mine.
Itag niyo rin yung Globe Studios.
Yes,
Oo.
I will.
Para masaya. Marami tayong ano
My
dito.
God.
Then,
Twitter party.
It'll be
bigla,
fun
no?
too because I think those, especially with Bao's wittiness, he might pick up those two. Those two.
Yes. Ay, nako.
Reinhardt,
Ito talaga.
Ako. Reinhardt, asa na?
Nag-aantay kami. Ano, gusto ko lang i-acknowledge na si Pat Maliksi talaga ikaw nagsimula ng usapan na to, no? Grabe ka. Ikaw talaga.
Pat, this is Mark. Mark, this is Pat. Say hi
Ayan.
to each other.
And then Mark Arlante, our other commenter.
Okay.
Give each other's Twitter accounts.
Ayan, meron
Nagulat
na.
akala ko ako.
Ayan na.
Ayan.
Dynamic, amazing, knowledgeable,
Amazing,
successful.
Pak.
Sige, pwede. Pwede. Lionheart. Sige.
Working back
Ito ko yan.
Laban mo yan. Pero di ba mas masaya kung tite na Dax?
Truthful, impactful.
Uy, grabe. Oo. Uy,
Masaya.
grabe.
Masaya ang Pepe pag Dax tite.
Uy, Mikey, it's
I'm gonna stop now.
I think it makes sense, no? Dax, Tite, Smirk, Pepe.
Smirk.
Oh, pak, di ba?
Oh, you have qualities of each.
Uy, oh my God. Gusto nyo yun? O, at dahil dyan, yan na, pasok.
Okay. Guys. So again, guys, thank you so much for this very explosive, very informative, very enlightening, and I think, very heartfelt sharing, di ba? Parang trigger tayo lahat in more ways than one, not just on the surface, but also to our core. I think a lot of us were shaken and shook to our core, and that is what we want, di ba? We want conversations happening, we want dialogues happening, and ultimately, we want our BL community to be bigger, stronger, better, di ba? So, if you enjoyed our episode tonight, if you definitely enjoyed your comments and your sharings, and thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for subscribing.
Definitely.
And if you want to follow us on our other social media, there is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. So that's Brouhaha B Squad. Again, thank you so much for being here, guys. We appreciate that you spend time with us on this Friday night. And that is time for us to say goodbye for now, but we will see you in the next one. And happy weekend, everyone.
Happy weekend.
Piggyback, everyone. Piggyback, everyone.
Thank you. Piggyback.
Piggyback na yan.
Stay safe.
Ciao.
Stay safe, everyone.
Adios. Terima kasih.